So I want to start with this off with I know this ain't my normal type of content. I'm not no anime YouTuber. I'm not like on that type of timing, but yo, I just had to get this off my chest. I feel like I can make a very interesting list, and I figured out that's how I'd come up with today. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a tier list, and I'm gonna slowly reveal that tier list. I'm gonna reveal the tier list, and y'all gonna be like, "Wow, that's so low," and "Wow, that's so high." You know how all the YouTubers do that shit. But after I'm done with the tier list, I'm gonna go into one by one rankings of why I have certain shows at this level, and I'm actually going to, even within the same tier, individualize which one's over the other. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this tier list. It's hard for me to say that I've watched a bad anime, because honestly, I don't like subjecting myself to that type of shit. But over here at the bottom of my tier list, I got mid, and then above mid I got good show, then great show, then close to perfection, and then the absolute GOAT, the banger. You'll find out what that show is to be. So yeah, at the very, very bottom, the worst of the worst that I have, which even then I think the worst show that I have can't really constitute as, well, I mean, some people say it's bad. I don't think it's terrible. It's kind of mid to me. It's mediocre. I watched this shit a few years ago. I haven't watched anything new from it. I think I watched like the first 3 seasons. I don't even know if the show is still going, but the show 7 Deadly Sins. Now that show, I'm not gonna lie, was the second anime I ever watched. It was alright. Actually, I kind of like messed with the idea of the Demon King and shit like that, but kind of horny. The entire show was horny as fuck, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I still rock with it, I still rock with it. It isn't too bad. That's why I have it at mid. It's not dog shit, I don't think, but some people say it is. I got my own opinions on it. So above that, I got the show and good show, Sword Art Online. Now, I know, don't throw your tomatoes at me yet. I promise. I am a rational thinking person with a human brain. This show is honestly kind of overhated. I see why people don't like it. I think it's still a good show. Like, I don't know if I'd go on my way to recommend it to most people, but I still enjoyed the show. I even enjoyed the 2 shows that came after it, like the sequel shows. That's why I'm combining it all under one show. That stupid shit where people are like, oh, well, this show, Naruto Shippuden's better than Naruto. I don't give a fuck. It's all the same shit. Sword Art Online, good show. Sorry, I'll get more into deeper thoughts later in the video. And now to the longest part of the tier list. Great show. So I have Erased. And you know what? Let me go ahead and mention, I haven't watched many animes. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I haven't watched too many animes. We can count on the list how many I've watched. It's probably like something like 10 or 9 or something. Yeah, I haven't watched many animes. Eventually that's soon to change. I haven't currently been watching Solo Leveling. It's kind of a banger, not gonna lie. Maybe a part 2 comes out, we'll see. I doubt it, but you never know. If this shit somehow blows up and I'm fucking like somehow get crazy views or some shit. Crazy views to me, not gonna lie, it might be like fucking 1,000. I might upload another video of the shit. Alright, anyways, so in the first in the great show category, I got the show Erased. It's a pretty short show. It's really good though. It was a while ago that I watched it. I remember loving it a lot though. Pretty interesting idea. Obviously, that's actually just most animes, not gonna hold, but yeah, pretty interesting idea, pretty good. So now this next one in this tier list, I can already tell is going to be controversial as fuck. I got Dragon Ball, and that's including Super, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, all of it. I've watched all of it, and now in terms of all-time rankings, I can understand. You know what I mean? I just personally, I understand what Dragon Ball did for anime, and rest in peace, Toriyama. Obviously, the show is legendary. But I think in comparison to most other shows, I couldn't rank it over certain shows because when you go back and watch, especially OG Dragon Ball, it's low-key a slugfest. It's a slugfest as fuck, and it's still good, but it's not like, you know what I mean? Dragon Ball Z, I think, is definitely my favorite out of all the Dragon Ball shows. Definitely. But even then, for the time, it's still pretty slow. I understand that came out a while ago, and like I said, I have a lot of respect for the show. I still love the show at the end of the day, but I don't view it in the same light as some of these other shows. So, next show we're going to go into is Death Note. Now, if Death Note was the first, I think it was like 40 episodes or whatever, I'm not going to spoil anything, but whenever something major happens and someone dies, I'll keep it I won't say who, but whenever that person dies, the show instantly, boom, straight decline. Now it does start picking back up a few episodes later, but I think, first of all, I think the ending is amazing, but like there just wasn't it didn't feel like the same show. You know what I mean? But we'll touch more on that later when I get to the individual rankings. Next up in class, we got a show, Parasite. Now, I just watched the show recently, and I didn't expect to fuck with the show as much as I did. And I didn't expect the show to be how it was. I expected it to be more like a horror adjacent. That's kind of what I heard. That was like kind of like a horror anime, but nah, it's a really fun anime. It's definitely like along the darker side, like closer to a Death Note kind of anime. Like it has a lot of blood and stuff. It's not like Dragon Ball. I definitely did enjoy this anime, and I would definitely recommend it. Same thing, like after we reach great shows, I would always recommend any of these shows because they're all great. All of them, all the animes that are from Raced and up. So into the next category, Close to Perfection. Now, I don't know if this is controversial or not having Naruto as like, under the GOAT status and having whatever show that we'll get into above it, but Naruto and Vinland Saga, they're so close to perfection, it's almost hard to name flaws. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people didn't like Vinland Saga Season 2. I personally thought it was amazing. The same thing with Shippuden. Like, a lot of people didn't like Shippuden once it started getting towards the end, and Kaguya became a character and all that. I know a lot of people didn't like that, which honestly, yes, it wasn't great. It wasn't good. It shouldn't have been how it ended, honestly. It felt like it was honestly kind of rushed. At the same time, it honestly almost didn't feel like it was rushed because there were so many fucking filler episodes in between. All the filler episodes are the death of me. I cannot watch filler. And just to see when you go to the like final 50 episodes of Naruto Shippuden, to see fucking 45 of them are filler in the middle of the 4th Great Ninja War, like what the fuck is going on? See, that's the only reason why that show doesn't get perfection, because of that dumbass shit. I still love the show though, it's still very close to perfection. Yeah, anyways, next in the same section is Vinland Saga, which I mentioned a little bit. I love Vinland Saga. Season 2 was great. It's hard to say if it's as good as the first season, because the first season is honestly some of the best anime can get. But no, the show is great. I'll touch more on it later. And then to the final section of the tier list, the GOAT, the one and only Attack on Titan. And I know. See, I hear a lot of mixed opinions on how it ends. Well, like, not as much as you used to when the manga was the ending, but once it finally released into anime, people understood it more and agreed that the ending is amazing. And I think genuinely Attack on Titan, start to finish, is genuine perfection. Anime cannot get better than Attack on Titan. And if it does, I want to see it. Like, please show me. I mean, admittedly, the episodes between 2 and 6, when Eren is starting to train, I know it's intentionally not interesting, where it's like the stereotypical training arc for 6 episodes before he becomes a soldier, but that did kind of bore me a little bit. I do think it's not as great as it could have been, but after Eren starts getting jumped, in the mix of it, that's when, the show right there never stops going. It's heater after heater. Tuning in every episode is just a banger, and it's I'll get more into it later, but Attack on Titan, that shit. The peak. It's not even. I don't even just classify it as the best in anime. I classify it as one of the best pieces of media ever released. I classify it as one of the best shows ever released. That shit's up there with Breaking Bad and fucking Better Call Saul and fucking all the other greatest shows of all time that people say are the greatest of all time. I do really love Attack on Titan. So we can go ahead and slide on in here to official rankings of what number I have each show at. Okay, now that we're onto the rankings, let me explain it to you. I'm going to go ahead and I'll start worst to best, because I feel like that's probably the easiest. That's how most people do it, to rankings and all that. But and a little heads up, There will be spoilers. I'm not that type of person that just fucking like I can't restrain myself from spoilers sometimes, not gonna lie. Especially when it gets to like higher up on the list and I really get passionate about the shit. I'm finna pour my heart out. I'm not gonna lie to you. So let me begin. So to begin, we got 7 Deadly Sins at my very bottom of my list from the animes I've watched, which I do want to point out. Haven't watched many. I mean, number 9 is the lowest I got. So let me get all the negatives out the way of the show. Because, you know, I think most people think it's like known that people don't like the show or something. I don't pay attention too much to it, but let me get all the negatives out the way. So for me personally, the show is way too horny. I mean, like, it's almost like goddamn, like it is way too much. Like, I can understand a little bit of fan service here and there, and like, you know, it all comes with most animes. But bro, this show, it is so fucking horny, and I'm not gonna lie, the plot, like it. So I haven't finished the show, and I'm never going to. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I ended in like season 3 or something. But the plot started getting like pretty boring. I think I stopped where like Bond had just got out of like the little like the Demon King's area or whatever the fuck he was trapped in. I barely remember. Like, I'm going off of memory from like fucking 6 years ago or some shit, like maybe 4. It's like in 2020 or something. Yeah, it definitely started getting boring around the part that I dropped the show. And by far the worst part of the show, bro, that fairy bitch, fucking Bond's relationship, yo, that, like, it doesn't feel right. Like, there's something about it. I was watching it and I just, like, I felt almost disgusted with their relationship. Like, I understand, like, that whole trope that they have in animes with fucking, like, oh, she looks 7, but she's actually 1,000-year-old fairy woman. Like, that's so, like, no, why does she look 7 years old? Like, I can understand, like, maybe 25, but, like, bro, she looks like she's fucking still using binkies and shit. Like, fucking, like, yo, okay, I don't like hating on things that much. I am a known hater, but I don't like the fact that I'm a hater. So I want to get into some positives. I do think the show actually does have good, like, it does a good job with its fights, and like I'm kind of scavenging for compliments. I'm not gonna lie, but like the fights aren't terrible. There are good moments in fights. Like, it does have like a decent amount of action. And I'm not gonna lie, I think this, like, I don't know if this is a controversial take or anything, but I like the whole power level shit. I understand it's ripped straight out of Dragon Ball, like, completely, but, you know, it's always an interesting concept whenever it's done. Another thing is, you know, it does have some pretty good ideas, like the Demon King shit with the Meliodas, like, being part Demon King or something. I barely remember, but I remember I liked whatever the fuck that was, like, where he was evil and shit. Like, that was pretty cool, and like his brother was a pretty cool character, I think. I'm not gonna lie, the show can be funny at times, especially like earlier on, like season 1 and 2 area. It was, I remember the pig being pretty funny, I think. Like I said, I'm going off of like straight memory. I'm not rewatching the show for this fucking video, I'm not gonna lie, but besides that, there isn't really much else to say about the show, besides the fact it was okay at the end of the day, you know. And I don't know if that's controversial to say or not, because I remember people hated it, so I don't really know, but, you know, it's whatever. So let's get on to the next show. At number 8, we have Sword Art Online, and I'm not gonna lie, so the relationship I have with Sword Art Online is kind of weird, and y'all gonna think I'm crazy when I say this, but Sword Art Online was the first anime I have ever seen, and you can barely even say that, because all of the original show, I watched it off of YouTube from a abridged series. And I'm not gonna lie, that show, like, I forgot the people that made it. I think it was like Schmucker's Squad or some shit like that. They had like their series was great. Whoever made it, voice crack, by the way, that's kind of crazy. But that show was great. Even after the fact, because when they, like, it takes a while to redo those shows and make a bridge series, which I understand. I'm not complaining about that. But I eventually caught up to the end of where the original Sword Art Online was to the beginning of the next show, and they didn't have any more episodes. So I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll watch my first anime for the first time. And I went ahead and did it. I watched the rest of Sword Art Online all the way to like the very end. When the show like finally ended, and like the third, like they had like fucking 4 different series made out of Sword Art Online. It was ridiculous, not gonna lie, but I was watching them as they were coming out, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of enjoyed it. And I know Sword Art Online is very hated, which I understand. You know, well, I'm not gonna say I understand, because I don't know exactly what the criticisms are. I thought the show was pretty good. Like, not complaining about it. This is another show. It's off of straight memory. One of the first animes I've watched. So I don't like have all my thoughts coherent about it. But I just remember enjoying it. You know. So yeah, I did enjoy it. But yeah, like, it was pretty weird that I've heard nothing but hate about the show. Like any other YouTuber you watch, if they mention anime and like Sword Art Online comes up, mid, terrible, trash, whatever. I don't really get it. I remember actually liking the show, and the fights were pretty good, from what I remember. The story is really interesting, and there were some good twists at times. Like I remember when the main character Kirito was like, bro, I'm trying to remember what happened, but it was like some crazy twist where like his best friend ended up sacrificing himself to save Kirito. And then Kirito fucking ended the game. Like, it all happened. Like, it was fucking like M. Night Shyamalan twist happening left and right in the final episode. And then for the next show, bro, from everything that happened, the man was in a wheelchair, permanently stunned. That shit was fire. I'm not gonna lie, because that shit was insane. I completely understand why. The man watched like his whole family, well, not family, but like fucking like everything that he loved. And this, it was actually, wait, no, now I remember. He's in this separate world or whatever. He doesn't remember anything from like outside world or some shit. And then he sees everything that he thought that he knew gets murdered in front of him. And then he's just stunned for the rest of his life. And this shit was fire. I'm not gonna lie. You know, maybe but I don't know. Maybe it is just straight bias because it's the first anime I've actually seen. You know? Like I said, it's also been a while since I've seen it. But yeah, I definitely did enjoy it. That's why it's, you know, like I said, I don't have anything bad on my list. I haven't watched an actual bad anime, I don't think. But yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the next anime, being Parasite at 7. And now it feels weird having the show at this area, because I think the show is actually really, really good. Like very well made, well written. The action is amazing. And genuinely, I can't list any flaws off the top of my head. I really do like the, you know, the weird sense of humor the show has. Like, Shinichi's hand, Migi, is absolutely amazing in the show. Like, she's like, actually, I don't even know what the fuck you can even say. It is like an amazing piece of the show. It definitely keeps light in it. You know, like, it really does feel nice. Like, him waking up and his hands fucking doing random shit. Like, looking up how to study the humans and shit. Like, it's like, yo, that shit's fire. I'm not gonna lie. And the show does a really good job at like displaying its overarching theme. It's not like too in depth where you have to like figure out the theme like by the end of it. You're like, oh my gosh, so you piece together like, oh, I finally get it now. That's what the theme was. Like, no, they kind of like, you kind of can get it at certain areas, and I think they do a good job of tying the show like into its theme. That's how most things are supposed to do it, you know. But like, they do a really good job at tying the theme to the show so well. Like, I really do like everything about the show. It really just comes down to the next shows just being better on the list, in my opinion. It's really, I'm not gonna lie, it is really hard to rank animes, like, because there's so many different, like, you have like animes that are fucking like 1,500 episodes long, 2,000 episodes long, then you have like 10 episode animes that you gotta throw in there. It's kind of a confusing list to make, I'm not gonna lie. Let me move on to the next one. We got the show Erased at number 6. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hard for me to rank the show because of how short it is, like I just mentioned. But I really do love the show. And like, it gives you a really nice sense of comfort. Like, it gives you like a nice comforting feeling as he's like, which it's so weird to describe. Like, it's like, it kind of gives you nostalgia to an extent, as like he's trying to piece together the murders and save his friends and classmates. It like for some reason gives me nostalgia, like a weird feeling. Like, it brings you back to the feeling of being young and going to school and hanging out with friends. Like, almost everything about the show is perfect, honestly. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I literally binged the show in one night, no lie. 12 episodes, 30 minutes each. I binged that shit straight. Like, no breaks, no nothing. Like, I didn't even get up. I probably went up to go to the bathroom once, and it really is so good. You know, it's so good only being 12 episodes, 30 minutes each. Yeah, I definitely really did enjoy the show. Like, the whole idea is so interesting in the show. It really is. Like, I don't like. I'm very bad at composing my thoughts into actual words. I swear to God. But no, the show is so interesting. It has a great idea behind it. I really like the idea. Like him going back to the past. Like, it just. I think that's what really gives you the nostalgia feeling. Is like a grown adult going back into like to the past when he was a kid, and there's like the murders that are around. And he's trying to piece it together. Then by the end, it's like this whole weird relationship that he has with the teacher. Was it a teacher? I don't even remember. Like, whatever the fuck that one guy is doesn't want him to die. It's like, it's so good. It really is. It's it's good. Now this next show that I got coming up is going to be a little bit of shocker. People aren't going to like me for this. I'm going to be hated. I'm going to have tomatoes thrown on my head that I'm going to have to wash off in the shower. Yeah, well, anyways, next on the count is Dragon Ball at number 5. Now, I'm going to be the brave person that says it. Yes, Dragon Ball is good. And yes, very good at that. And it was such an inspiration. You know, rest in peace, Toriyama. But the show does have pacing issues and it hasn't aged well. And I know, like, it sounds so corny to say that, and like, a lot of people will hate that I said this. It's just how I feel at the end of the day. I can't really control how I feel. I have so much respect for the show, though. I really do. And of course, I'm including Z, the original Dragon Ball Super. But I'm mainly talking about Z here because Z, I think, still is the best. Like, the fights don't look as pretty, you know, as most fights nowadays, which is obvious to happen. The show came out such a long time ago, and I don't blame it. Like, I still think for what that show is and the time that it came out, it is perfect for the time. But I'm, like, comparing it to other animes is where it falls short, because it's hard to compare that without, like, you know, having bias for the time that it came out in. But, like, if you were to have it objectively as the show, this is where I have it. And it's just personal opinion. Like, I didn't say I don't enjoy the show. I enjoyed it. I love the show. I love the Cell Saga, the Majin Saga, the fucking Android Saga, whatever the fuck. Sagas, all fucking sagas and shit. I enjoyed all of it. I especially enjoyed the Saiyan Saga. And Namek was so good, but I just don't think it's as good as the other animes that are on this list, which does suck because I really do enjoy the show. It's really just a time period diff. There's nothing you can really do about it. Anyways, let's get on to the next anime, which is Death Note at number 4. Now, Death Note is really, really good for the first 40 episodes. And I did mention there were spoilers, so big spoiler right here. But when L dies, yo, the show kind of falls off for like a solid 5-10 episodes or something. And the first however many episodes are so good that I can't help but have it so high, you know? Like, yes, it does have flaws. And yes, I'm biased because obviously it's my list. But I don't know what it is. I just love the show. Like, the way Kira and L's relationship is so perfect. Like, they wrote that so well. Like, although some of the twists are kind of crazy at times, like, you obviously just did some of that shit to just throw us off. But, like, I love tuning in every episode and seeing how the episode was going to turn out. Because you know it's never going to be in the same places it was at the beginning of the episode. When they were trying to catch Kira and Light would do some crazy fuck shit to get out of the situation, like relinquishing the Death Note. Like, there were so many moving pieces in the show that made it so good. Because, like, all the moving pieces, you know, like, there's so many different things I could do, so many ideas, you know, it's honestly, it's just a really fun show to watch, and I do love the ending so much. so much. Like I love the last like fucking 5 episodes or whatever. Anyways, my next show is Naruto at number 3. And now Naruto might be my favorite anime, which is a weird saying because I have it ranked at number 3, you know? But it's just, I don't know. I just feel the others are just better. Like, Naruto is so good, especially the characters. Like, my favorite characters in all of anime, only characters I actually own Funko Pops of are Itachi and Jiraiya. I love those characters so much. They mean so much to me. I love them. But I'm not gonna lie, Madara is also pretty high on that list. Like, I love Madara. He's just a fucking badass. He's just saucy. But that man is a fucking. He's got. You know, people fucking talk about aura. That man got it. That man Madara fucking got aura on aura, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, Naruto is extremely high on that list too. Like, Naruto might be one of the best main characters of all time. Like, in all of anime, I mean. Like, cause it's normally so weird. Like, you don't normally say Goku's the best in Dragon Ball or like fucking. I don't even know. There's so many other fucking like things. Like, most people don't even say Naruto's the best in, you know, all of Naruto. But like a lot of people say it's like a main character thing, like in animes that for some reason the main character is never your favorite, but Naruto is definitely one of the best written main characters. And it's hard to, honestly, if I were to choose out of my favorite characters, Naruto still might come up on fucking number 1 on the list. I love Naruto. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I love him. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like him that much in the original Naruto. I mean, I liked him. I still wanted to root for him and all that. But, like, just not as much as Shippuden, you know? But yeah, the anime is just written so well. Like, everything about how the relationships are written, like Naruto and Sasuke, or Madara and Hashirama, is so good. And, like, the way that they round their story into their set pieces, like Naruto and Sasuke fighting on top of the Madara and Hashirama statues in the same river that they were fucking the original Naruto, then the Shippuden, the final fight being that, and the whole destined to be enemies thing is so good. And it's like just how in depth the show is, you know, because obviously there's so many episodes, so there are like so many layers, but I mean, it's just all the shit that happens is so good. And not to mention, this might be a hot take, I don't know if it is. I feel like most people should have this opinion if they don't. But Naruto has some of the best fights in anime history. Like, it's all made so well. Like, obviously, everyone knows the Kakashi versus Obito and Madara fighting the whole village, or like all the fucking army and shit. And obviously, I already mentioned Naruto versus Sasuke. Both of those fights are great. Actually, I actually really enjoyed the in-between fights, like little quick fights that they have in Shippuden, you know? I really like those fights too. But honestly, you could pick like only almost feels like any fight in Naruto, and it's like 9 times out of 10 up there in the best fights of anime history because they're always so good and like animated so well. But yeah, I could go on and on about Naruto, so I'm gonna just end it here. And with that being said, we'll get on to the next anime, being Vinland Saga at number 2. And now don't click off the video, I beg of you. I beg, please, please. But Vinland Saga is so good. And I do understand the hate for season 2, but I'm just not one of them ones. I really do love season 2 of Vinland Saga. And I know why people hate it. I understand that. People loved in season 1 Thorfinn being that killer, like loving revenge and like wanted desperately to get revenge, but I feel like it's not completely out of left field that he decided to stop chasing that endless battle. And it wasn't like, it didn't feel like this change was like out of nowhere. Like, I feel like this is the perfect place this character should be at. And like the scene of Thorfinn taking all those punches is so good, and the ending of season 2 is so good with him claiming to find Vinland and all that. The way his transition goes, like, although some people didn't like it, I felt like it was perfect for him. Like the whole scene of him being like drugged down by all the people that he's killed and the people in Valhalla, like seeing that it's pretty much like hell, you know? It's so good. It really is. Like, I don't have any other words to describe it. Like, I'm kind of like just fucking like going into a robot mode, just saying good, good, good. Like, yes, but it's just good, you know? Like, and that's just me talking about season 2. Season 1 is fucking phenomenal too, obviously. Like, season 1, the fights are done so good. It's written so well. Like, I feel like they were low-key almost foreshadowing Thorfinn, like, having to give up this journey on revenge, because it's like, his father didn't even want him to do it. His father told him to get out the way and let Thor, like, let himself die, you know? Like, he was fine with it. He just, hell, his father was, he gave up fighting for peace, you know? Like, he gave up fighting so he could have peace with his family. And I just love the way that show just is, you know? Like, everything about it, the way it is, it's just very good. Like, I'm kind of basically going into another state, which is fucking like, fucking show is good and shit. Like, yeah, it's good. But I'll stop ranting and defending the show from season 2 and all that. Let me address the elephant in the room for even people that like the show as much as I do. But why is it so high on this list? Man, I don't know. I just love the show, gang. I don't like it's hard because I love Naruto, but Vinland Saga is just so good. And truthfully, I go between which one is better, which is weird because they're so vastly different and they're hard to compare. You know, Vinland Saga is so much shorter, Naruto is so much longer. Like, it's so hard, and I completely understand that what I have is a completely hot take and almost objectively bad take, but it's the take I have. Now, anyways, for my favorite anime of all time, we already knew this was coming, but I have Attack on Titan at my glorious number 1 slot. And now I'm going to be spoiling a lot here. But my god, if Attack on Titan isn't at least in your top 5, what are you doing? It doesn't take too much to understand how good this anime is. Like, it is perfection. Like, it's one of the best shows of all time in general, not just anime. It's like up there with fucking Breaking Bad. You feel me? Like, it's hard to compare, but like, you know. And the only problem that I have is the smallest, minuscule problem that you could think of. And I don't know why I mention this all the time, but there's like a 3-episode span of season 1 where the show is kind of generic, which I think it's kind of supposed to be like that, like to like keep you unprepared for the twist that's coming up, like kind of like how the first episode of Invincible was all generic until the end on purpose. I feel like it's kind of like that, like for a 3-episode span in the first season, where Eren is just like between episode 3 and 6 is just like training to learn how to fight, you know, and become a part of the cadet corps. But once he gets out to the first time on the field, the show is completely different, and it's just peak from there. And it's just like the acting and writing is so good, like the emotional stakes of the show and the way the characters put in just raw emotion in certain moments. Like, for example, when Eren can't use his powers and he is like so upset at himself while everyone's dying around him and like other Titans and shit, and he's just hurting the fuck out of himself, like biting his hand, like trying to get himself to turn into a Titan, but he just can't. So he just screams and cries, like, oh my god, that shit's so peak. Like, we obviously know the speech, you know, everyone knows the speech. Even people that haven't seen the show knows about it. But what I find most interesting is how the show completely changes in like season 4. I don't remember exactly which season, but whenever they discover that they are just a small island outside of the rest of the world, you know, the show is just a completely different show. And dare I say, the show is better. Like, I know a lot of people, like, it's like a weird mixed feeling, reaction, whatever, for some reason. Oddly, so I don't pay too much mind to it. But I can just go on for days how good the show is once that change happens. Like Eren turning evil, the rumbling, learning about the Titans, and obviously the twist that we all know and love. It's just so peak. Like, and bro, the ending is so good. And I just remember, when Hanji dies was so good. Like, the fucking hurt. Oh my god. Yo, I just want to, pause, yo. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, pause. But bro, the ending, I couldn't. If you gave me a pen, a paper, in 3 years of like straight deliberation, I couldn't piece together a better ending. Like that scene of Eren talking to Armin is so good, where he just breaks down, like he's fucking like mentally deranged. And, like, I heard apparently that people didn't like the ending, like before the anime was finished. Like the people that read the manga thought the ending was trash and shit. But I don't know what the fuck they were reading. I don't know if fucking he just like took like the creator of the show, I don't remember their name, but like took a picture of their shit and just posted at the end. I don't know if that's why people didn't like the ending, but I thought it was perfect. Like, I can't draw up a better ending, like I said. Yeah, I'll get off of Attack on Titan's dick, and I know this is my this is a little shift from my usual content. And honestly, I just wanted to talk about Attack on Titan. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna be the longest section in the video, Attack on Titan. So if anyone watched this, thank you so much. And please like the video, because this is probably one of my longest videos I'm gonna put out. And thank you so much. Peace.